VCR Redux will begin in T-5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books. I'm just
Ian's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got toy monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? You're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kinda seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want? Do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like,
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Dorsey, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney's ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on.
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, it all works. Like Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop, like that works. Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, that works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest, that works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver, but they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo, and it's underwater. It's gonna be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie Goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skate or Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 150th episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink. And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, he's one half of the creative genius behind Retro Fiend Radio, makers of the finest canon and martial arts docs on the web. Dustin Nino's back on the show.
The Nino.
What up, what up, what up?
And rounding out this righteous crew, he's an award-winning miniature artist who's brought to life props and scenes from The Walking Dead, Sleepaway Camp, and the iconic apartment from Frasier. The bearded miniaturist himself, Preston Pauling, is back on the show.
Is that me? That's me.
That's you.
Hey, everybody.
And I think he's brought some new hardware with him, and I brought a cat with me who's really pumped to be on this week's episode of the show. So, Rufus, say hi to the whole audience.
Goodness.
I'm such a whore. I will use my cat for ratings. That's right. Look how cute he is. By tuning into this show, you help get this cutie fed. Yes, since you are fresh from winning some awards, and I know you have them close by. Do you want to show before we get into today's business some of your new
I have
hardware?
them close by, but the cat's a hard act to follow. But I'll give it a shot. Did Wonderfest 2024 this year. Got the bronze, the gold, the silver. They look great in the display case. It was an awesome show. It's a hobby expo here in Louisville. There was 1,120 competitors this year. It was a record turnout, and I thought it was awesome to sweep the podium like that. So I got all the medals in the diorama category, and it was an awesome time.
Oh man, I have not seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Thank
incredible. I haven't seen anyone take the triple crown like that since Ian at the Iowa Paint and Sip and Gas Station Pizza Eat Off Challenge. But you know, we all strive to do great things, and you know, speaking of Ian, we are here today because Ian just wouldn't stop pushing. All I wanted was something to eat, but that king shit Klink wouldn't share his gas station pizza. So tonight's VCR is going to give him a war he won't believe. That's right, folks. They drew first blood because this world needs Rambo 6, and we're here to give it to you.
Does it need
But-
6? Does
Yeah,
it?
it so does. But before Ian starts to defend Murdoch's position in 2, we got to dish on how Rambo came into our lives and what we love about him. And of course, that goes double for you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it love at first Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Rambo came into your lives. So, Preston, when did you first get Rambo'd?
Oh, I know exactly when I got Rambo'd.
Ooh.
VHS tape, handwritten on it. I can still see the scripty writing that said First Blood on it. And as a kid, I was like, what the hell is First Blood? Anything with blood in the title, I was in. I'm like, I got to see this thing. And it was love at first watch. I loved it.
Oh, man,
I've been a
that's-
Stallone fan ever since. So, yeah, definitely.
That's amazing.
a
It's so
VHS tape.
It's so true. Like anything with blood, we often joke about like you just put like blood kick or like blood fist or blood, you know, there's so many blood sport, you know, death blood, like we had so much fun just kicking around the titles for this, like
Blood
Donor
in,
Blood,
blood
After
out.
Blood. Oh, my fucking
yeah,
favorite.
Blood or
That's what
Spit.
I
we
thought that's
was
what you're
in.
gonna. I did that specifically for you, Chris Stiles, and you did not even acknowledge it. In our
Well, you know
group
why? Because I realized when you said that we should be doing Blood In, Blood Out for our 150th episode, and that is a masterpiece of cinema right there. We're definitely gonna have to do that. We'll have to keep trudging on to 175 just to get to Blood In, Blood Out now. But anyway, getting back into the Rambo zone. How did the Nino first? What was your gateway drug into Rambo? Was it First Blood?
Yes, it was. I think I rented them all as a kid. I think they were just all 1, 2, 3. I think they were all out, by the time I was, old enough or, conscientious enough to see them. I didn't see them in the theater. The only one I saw in the theater was Rambo, the fourth one. They all came out. I was, in the 80s, I was, 8 or 9 or something by then. So I remember, I think I rented them all like at once, and I think I probably just cranked through them on a summer weekend, probably. We got a buddy next door, like this guy, a friend of mine lived across the street, and we'd always just, there's a video store like right down the street, so we would always just rent videos and shit. And I'm pretty sure it was a summer of just watching Rambo.
You know, it's interesting
It
the
was
way
always
you.
on TV too.
Oh,
You
for
know?
sure.
And so it's
But
like it's just I felt like it was always just a part of your life.
I feel like you know, I feel that like first of all, I have a very similar, you know, story with the original Rambo trilogy, but I feel like especially with 2 and 3, those are movies that I would love to see at like a midnight screening, packed house, like, you know,
Oh yeah,
wild
for sure.
crowd, like hardcore fans who know every line. Like that's a, you know, there's a couple 80s sequels that I'm dying to see on the big screen with like an audience full of people who love it. Karate Kid 2 and I think Rambo 2 and Rambo 3 especially would be on that list for me. But how did the Klinkster fall into the Stallone zone and get Ramboed?
Well, first off, if you really want me to defend Murdoch, all Rambo had to do was take some goddamn pictures. What did he
Ah, of
do?
course.
What did he decide to do? Go on a goddamn Vietnam Part 2. Okay? All he had to do was take
Ian wanted to
some
go eat gas station
pictures.
He's
pizza
just
with
jumping
Murdoch.
right in. Just
Just
jumping right in.
take some pictures. Anyway.
Yeah, skipping right to 2. He's just skipping First Blood.
And then those photographs would have been forgotten.
No, I will.
Troutman knows.
So God bless, and we talk about this a lot, but God bless the United States and God bless USA, the network, because that is where I first got Ramboed. I mean, in the summer of 1996, there probably wasn't a weekend that went by that didn't have one of the Rambo movies playing on USA Network. But I distinctly remember watching First Blood. And I will tell you right now, I am a huge fan of First Blood. I think First Blood is an amazing film. Okay.
Facts.
And Rambo First Blood Part 2 is a great movie. But First Blood is an amazing film. But I remember watching it and talking to my dad about, because you know you saw a lot. You know, I'd seen a lot of movies about Vietnam. I had seen Platoon. I had seen uh oh, why am I blanking on it? Oh, Full Metal Jacket. You know, Heaven and Earth. You know, all these great, you know, Vietnam, Forrest Gump, all these. But First Blood, and I know we'll talk about this later, but you know, just you know, for me, what was fascinating about it was the politics of First Blood. And for the first time ever, really kind of understanding, in going to talk to my dad and trying to understand, well, why is everybody, why are they hating on John Rambo? And my dad kind of explaining this whole reaction to Vietnam soldiers and, the baby killers thing and spitting on them and, coming
How
home
old
from
were
war.
you?
I'm probably, 10.
Yeah, and then they were killing babies over there, you know. And
Well,
then they
yeah,
came
but
back and people weren't like, "Hey,
more,
baby
well, but
killer,"
more
you know?
so of the
Hey, little
why
buddy.
why was John Rambo going through this stuff? Why were the cops hating him? I mean, it just was so fascinating to look at that side to look at what the war at home in essence
Yeah.
of what we were going through. So I loved First Blood. I thought it was just a fun action movie. I mean, it was a realistic action movie.
So
Which I appreciated and still to this day appreciate more and more as the years go on. First Blood's a movie that I think could really happen.
sure.
I can't say that for Rambo 3, but I can say for First Blood, that's
Well,
so,
ironically, Rambo 3 in a lot of ways is more realistic than 2. But we'll get into
politically,
all that.
yes.
And everyone's gonna have their favorite Rambos. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we'll all probably agree that First Blood is a film, like you said. I've said that as well many times. And before I get to the chat, I just do want to reiterate one of my favorite quotes from you, sir, Mr. Klink, over the years. and you have often said that Rambo First Blood Part 2 is the greatest canon film that canon never made. And I think it's so
stand by
true.
that. I
It
stand
is,
by
I think
that,
it's
yeah.
100,000,000% true. It is the greatest
It
canon
is
film.
the movie canon
Yeah.
wanted to make and never could, i.e. the back of Dustin's poster there with POW the escape.
And them
Yeah.
trying and failing
I mean, it's
is a
very
beautiful
canon.
mess. What were you saying,
Yeah,
Dustin?
it's very canon adjacent. 2 and 3.
yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. Oh
2 and 3
definitely.
are very canon adjacent. Steve Lambert.
I mean,
worked on
look,
3 with
Missing in Action is clearly a ripoff of Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Wait a
I
minute.
mean,
You're stepping over the lead. Were you about to say Lambo worked on 3? Stephen Lambert?
Yeah, he worked on 3 with Stallone. Yeah.
what?
Man,
Yeah.
Who
that
did
man
that
was
guy
such a
work with? I
treasure.
love it.
Oh my God, yeah. Give that man an Oscar already. Get into the live chat. I just want to say hi everyone there. Whiskey 401, Alex Bonafonte is there. Oscar Toronzo, Great Gold's Code, KDP, Jeremy Ledford, Caitlin Altman, America's Next Top Model, Monica Thyman coming from overseas, Michael Ricci, the location scout, Angie Saunders, the mashup genius. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Some quotes. Nothing's over. Coming to get you, and you're the only one I trust. Gold's Code. Ian says he reviewed I Was a Teenage Werewolf too, but there was never a sequel. And interesting, because I wanted to get into this, what your favorite Rambo is or how you came into the franchise really sets your expectations. I see Gold's Code saying, I first saw Rambo 2 and 3 on USA as a kid. I was very confused when I saw part 1. He was in some random town. I also thought it was in the same universe as Karate Kid because Kreese was in it. He also says Murdoch was the Ian of the Special Forces. Ian let airborne pitches go or I will give you a war you won't believe. Music to my heart and to my soul. Let's see. Like every child with 80s irresponsible parents, I watched every Rambo. It's why we're all well-adjusted 40-somethings, says Whiskey 41. And Michael Ricci doubling down saying, gotta be honest, I saw Rambo 2 first, and that set a weird stage. So I agree with all these because my gateway into Rambo was actually Rambo 3. And it was just a VHS tape that was sitting around my parents' basement. And like many other R-rated tapes, I watched it on repeat. And movies like Dirty Harry or The Blues Brothers or Revenge of the Nerds or whatever it was, but I specifically loved R-rated action movies, and Rambo 3 was one of my favorites. But the only thing I remembered from like my toddler years of watching, because I'm talking like 3-4 years old, the only thing that I remembered from that time was the stick fighting scene. I didn't really remember the rest of the movie that much. It was just like action and cool stuff. Then when I kind of came back around, when these movies hit DVD, and Artisan, back before it became Lionsgate, Artisan Home Entertainment, between being Live, Ive, and Lionsgate, put out this beautiful set, this metallic Rambo trilogy DVD, and I got it, and I always have a fondness for the trilogy, so to speak, and it's nothing to shit on 4, maybe on 5, but so when I came back around,
everybody can take a urinal dump on 5. I think
5 was fine. 5 was entertaining.
Stop it, Dustin. Stop it.
He's entitled to his opinion.
No, stop it.
It was bloody. It was violent. I like he shoots a guy 4 times.
Call it Ranch War. Call it Taking the Ranch years.
That's where, yeah.
Call it Hey Dude. Don't call it Rambo.
I love how Mexico's like 5 minutes away too. The entire movie.
Don't call it Rambo. I mean, I felt 4 was stretching it, but at least he's in the jungle. He's there. He's got a bad hair.
I could deal
from like
he's got to be in the jungle. He's got to be in the woods or in the jungle or something. I
could deal with 4 because 4 I thought was a great way to end it, and it's ironic here we are pitching another Rambo installment tonight. But I thought for those who hadn't seen, I don't want a spoiler alert, but I guess I should. Spoiler warning: the end of Rambo 4, or Rambo as it's called, in the worst titled series ever. The film ends with him going back home, and it's the thing you never thought you would ever get to see Rambo do. And I feel like that's where his story should end, or at least where our viewership of it should end. Like, yeah, I want to think Rambo went on, lived a happy life on the farm. I don't want to think he dealt with human trafficking because his like goddaughter got abducted and you know, it like ripped his soul out while he was digging tunnels and having VC flashbacks for like, you know, decades. But it did scratch a lot of itch. Now, the first time I saw it, there's this weird thing that goes on with these new movies. We watch them one time and you love them. You know, like it happened for me with all the new Star Wars, 7, 8, 9 or whatever. Like I watch them once and I think, oh, great. And then you try and rewatch it one time and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. Now in the case of Rambo Last Blood, it's not that it's an awful film. Like Ian said, it's actually a good film, but it's just not a Rambo film. He doesn't
Not
cut that,
Rambo.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, Rambo keeps his hair long. Rambo wears a fucking headband, and Rambo is, like you said, either in the jungle, the woods, or the desert, some kind of, you know, he's not on a farm. He's not in Mexico City. It's fine, you know, the cartels and stuff. It does keep the tradition, and this is what I appreciated about the Rambo films. Everyone draws some attention to something that people weren't talking enough about. The first film, it's PTSD and Vietnam vets, the way they're treated coming home. The second film, it's the POWs that people didn't want to talk about, and we still had there, and some people say we still do. The third film, the Afghan-Soviet War, that no one wanted to talk about. And, you know, speaking of, I just have to shout out one of the actors in Rambo 3. Give this man an Oscar. The guy who's going on, who's like, in the Valley of Ligaman, the next valley, the women are killed with bayonets, and their babies are thrown into the fires. This is done so they will not have to fight the next generation of Afghan. Like, give that man a fucking Oscar. That speech is like heartbreaking, and it gives me goosebumps. Everything. That dude gives that with such fucking pathos. Just, please don't go. You must understand. Like, this is a holy war. Like, that dude is fucking great. I need to see that guy in more movies. But I do love all the Rambo movies. I do even love 4. It's hyper violent. It, you know, scratches a lot of itches, but it's not, you know, it's not quite of the original Rambo series, is it? It's part of like the new, you know, it's kind of like this new class.
It's like
kitschy. It's a little kitschy, but at the end of the day, as much as I like to nitpick on this one in particular, and I have seen Last Blood once, and I was like, you know, kind of cringy because it wasn't in the jungle. It wasn't in the woods. It wasn't what I was expecting. But at the end of the day, for me, I really don't care what the next Rambo is, as long as there's a next Rambo. Like I'll take the cartel. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but if that's what you're gonna give me, then I'll take Rambo with the cartel. You know, whatever the next, I'll take him as a taxi cab driver with a grudge. You know, I don't care as long as I get another Rambo.
Yeah, like, God damn it, you will get my money, you bastard.
We had the Vietnam vet who was a taxi cab driver. It was called Taxi Driver. Like,
let me tell you something, kid. It was no Rambo 2, all right? It was no Rambo 3.
It's just, you know what? It's Chris and I talk about this a lot. You know, Chris stands by the fact that the best part about the Porky series is the poster.
Oh yeah.
I kind of feel that way with the Rambo movies. I think the best part of the Rambo movies are the movie posters themselves.
Oh hell yeah.
Like I could look at Rambo 3 poster all day long.
That's a
Just
beautiful
don't
piece of
show
art.
me the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the movie is almost, I mean, I want to talk about 3 again in a little bit because it almost David Lean in epicness, and I get it. You know, the assistant director was thrust upon the movie because Stallone fired the main director, and God bless Peter McDonald. I think he did a fucking fantastic job. And I get it. It doesn't have like the soul of, you know, maybe even like a Rambo 2, which is really just shadow directed by Stallone. Like George P. Cosmatos, on everything he did, he was Stallone's puppet. And no disrespect to the man. I love Cobra and I love Rambo 2. But yeah, I don't know. Something about Rambo 3, it's just got this scale and this heart that, I don't know, it just does it for me. Like, I prepared for this episode the way I prepare for most things in my life, by watching my Blu-ray of Rambo 3. It's that kind of movie for me.
How does Chris go on a first date? I watch Rambo 3. How does he prepare to speak at a funeral of his best friend? I watch Rambo 3.
No, that's true. For sure. I don't care who dies. If I had to give a presidential eulogy,
okay. So obviously, I'm first blood. You're Rambo 3. So, you Dustin and Preston. What are your
definitely First Blood? I think First Blood is just an incredible movie. I think they could have stopped with First Blood and just still had a franchise on their hands with one movie because it's just that deep. And it's funny that you said that you picked up on it when you were a kid about all of the different nuances, the PTSD and the coming home syndrome and all of this stuff. I didn't pick up on any of that when I was a kid. I just thought he was pissed. I'm like, yeah, because you fucked with him. You should have left him alone. But as an adult, when I rewatched it, I was like, I loved it as a kid without knowing all of the message that was hidden in there, and not hidden so well. It just happened to be I was a kid. But as an adult, I watched it and I was like, damn, this is really deep. I felt a little smarter for liking Rambo, you know? Like, I actually like a piece of cinematic history here. This is great.
It's funny.
deep.
It's like if there hadn't been First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, I would have loved it just as a movie itself. Problem is, I had seen First Blood, and I was like, "This isn't Rambo. Like this is this."
Yeah, I mean, one is an art house movie. You know, like the novel, and everyone I'm sure has seen those deleted scenes. He was supposed to die. He's supposed to kill himself at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's where the movie ends. That's what the fucking message is. Like,
And that's why Kirk Douglas wouldn't play Troutman, because he was adamant that they would go with that ending. And they
but how great would it have been with Kirk Douglas? So I've seen those posters where it's Kirk, they had made the posters of Kirk Douglas. I like Richard Crenna. Don't get me wrong.
Richard Crenna is fantastic. Yeah.
But man, Kirk Douglas, he's Rambo.
Now, I honestly, and this is going to sound kind of weird, I feel like losing Richard Crenna to these movies is kind of like the Halloween movies losing Donald Pleasance, where like you wouldn't expect that to be such a key ingredient, but then when it's gone, you're like, something's not quite the same.
It does. That's part of why Last Blood I don't think works. It's just not Rambo. It's it's like we lost him in Rambo. You didn't have Richard Crenna in that, but it's just it's further and further away from what it was. It just didn't work.
Yeah,
again, call it ranch. Call it ranch, dude. I'd ranch bullets. I'd be fine with that. Just don't call it Rambo.
Well, not to
hatchet to the head.
Hatchet to the head.
Not to harp. Yeah, not to harp too much on Rambo 5 then. But we are just about at pitch time, so we can start a little bit early if we want to, and I see some coming in the chat. But also speaking of this, I want to address something that's in the chat. I see Whiskey 41 saying 5 was a chore, to which Michael Ricci responds, leads me to believe 6 would be rough, and I agree with both sentiments there. Now, the interesting thing is there are no rules on VCR. You don't have to pitch Rambo 6. You could pitch Rambo 3.5 if you want to pitch the one that happened in between 3 and 4, where he still would have had feathered hair and not just long hair, and it would have been 80s, or would have been early 90s, or would have been whatever. Like, you can pitch anything that you want.
Before we go to that, though, are we counting the cartoon as canon?
Force of Freedom.
Are we counting it?
Are we gonna pretend like any of us here have seen every episode of Force of fucking Freedom?
Oh, I never saw the episode, but
I believe in episode 3 he deals with Murdoch on an international level, and that establishes the precedent that we must hold to be.
But that was the lunchbox. It was either you had the Rambo cartoon lunchbox, or you had Rambo 2 lunchbox. So I mean, like.
What kind of homoerotic 80s child were you? Yes.
I mean, it penetrated and it worked. I mean, it did. First Blood, I still love. What I appreciate about 2 and 3 is it did give us a new action hero. It did give us a different kind of movie. I mean, I will stand by it. Rambo Part 2 is a fantastic action movie. I mean, it's incredible. If you just put it by itself, it's like Season of the Witch. I know we've talked about that before, but like Halloween 3, if you just call it the Season of the Witch, it's a great movie. It's just, it's not a Halloween movie.
That's what I like about the whole Rambo series as a whole. Is each one I like for individual reason. They're fun in their each way, each way. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, I feel like one doesn't suck less than the other. They're all First Blood aside. First Blood 5. First Blood aside. That's an art house film, like you said. I agree with you on that. But 2 and 3 and 4 are, to me, they're fun in their each own way. like to watch with your friends or whatever you want to do if
Yeah.
you're into Rambo, and you want to get something out of it. I think those movies are there. You know, I think Rambo, the fourth one, was super fucking violent, and I think that kind of scratched the itch of a lot of people thinking it was going to be like PG-13 or boring or something like that. I felt like someone was like, "Now we'll hold my beer. We're gonna make this like a horror movie." And
well, you know, again, you know, something in the chat too I want to address again that Gold's Code brings up, and it's a great point that Rambo 3 was the most violent movie ever made at the time. I think with like over 180 some odd or 220 some odd individual acts of violence and or death. And again, just the scale of that movie was so massive. I feel like it got lost in the shuffle of politics because Gorbachev came over and kissed Nancy Reagan and like, oh, Russia was now our friends. And it was like, oh, Stallone, you're a dick for making this movie all of a sudden. He didn't know that was going to fucking happen like the week or 2 weeks before the movie came out. That kind of killed the movie.
Damn you, Reagan, and tearing down that wall.
Well, it's ironic, right? Like, this became such a Reagan thing, and this, became such a symbol of, what 80s, not to get all super political on you, but like the people on the right really swore up and down that Rambo's a Republican and this and that. And Stallone has himself said many times that that's not really true, and that people are kind of missing the point that he doesn't really have any ties to anything organized on that level. He's really more about the individual. So they kind of kidnapped Rambo and just say, hey, he's on our team now.
People point out the ending of Rambo 3 where it's dedicated to the people of Afghanistan. Well, at that time, we were on Afghanistan. We were supplying weapons to the Afghanis. Like that was an ally thing, which is why that sentiment is
work for the CIA.
Yeah, but then
I'll tell you what, if we all had studied our fucking Rambo 3 a little bit harder, was a lot of messes that we could have avoided. God damn it. Like if people just would have watched that fucking movie and come out to it, I'm telling you, we could be living in a world where MTV still plays music and we're all flying around on hoverboards and flying cars. It would be fucking incredible.
If you fools had just watched Rambo 3, you wouldn't make Rambo 5.
Yeah, well, no, if you all came to fucking see Rambo 3, we would have gotten Rambo 4 in the summer of 1990, and it would have been fucking kick-ass, and it would have had big feathered hair, and it would have had Guns N' Roses on the soundtrack, or,
Why going up against Terminator 2 was there not Rambo 4 then? I've never understood that.
Well, Karol Ko, Andy Vajna, Mario Kassar, they're not going to compete with themselves. But yeah, I mean, Terminator 2 was summer of 90. Rambo 4, I'm telling you, it could have been summer. Or T2 was 91. Rambo 4 could have been 90. That's the sequel I want. I want it's still fucking muscles and topless and headbands and exploding arrow tips. The exploding arrow tips are one of the greatest weapons in movie history. It's up there with the lightsaber. I don't care what anyone fucking says. As long as the hair, the muscles, and the knife get bigger, you're making a true Rambo sequel. That's where 4 kind of fell apart. The knife got bigger, the hair didn't. The hair got longer and flatter and more 2000s-y. His pants got baggier and more 2000s-y. It's like when you watch Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Harrison Ford's wearing baggy pants. Why? Because the movie was made in like fucking 2008, and he's a dad who was wearing 1998 fashion in 2008. That's why that movie looks that way. And Rambo 4 has a little bit of that. I want the fucking 1990, 91, 92 Rambo 4. Give me oh God, Rocky 5 flopped. I'm going to make the most supercharged Rambo 4 you could imagine movie.
Rocky 5 is a good Rocky movie. He's Rocky in that movie.
Oh, I love Rocky 5, but it's a fucking punch to the gut. There's nothing fun about that movie. It's one of my favorite non-fun, movies ever. Richard Gant alone. I don't even get me started.
Screw you, Sophie's Choice. Rocky 5. That's
I'm just saying. Does Sophie's Choice have Richard Gant saying, "Do you like reaching into your pocket and only feeling your leg? Do you? Well, I'll make you so much money you can swim in it. You could swim."
That would be a very different concentration camp scene with that guy in it.
Well,
you want to choose this baby or that baby?
So there are pitches in the chat. And since I've given us all something to chew on, I'll go to the chat and then I'll let us all come back and hopefully we'll have some more pitches as well. But the first one, you may want to cover your ears, Ian, comes from Gold's Code. His pitch: Mitchell is doing hard time for damage caused during the race until Colonel Troutman recruits him for a rescue mission due to his blading skills. It's Rambo. This time the blading is up to you. Wow. That's fantastic. I thought you were I thought you were gonna go with Ramborn. Ram
like
bra.
Yeah,
Like Rambra. It'd have to be bra because
Rambra.
BRA. He did it again. He called me a piece of underwear. Another pitch. Rambo is walking through Cincinnati until he is hit by a prep in a downhill race, triggering his PTSD and drawing first blood. Now Rambo is out for revenge.
As long
in
as
Ramborn.
he's killing all the cast of that movie, I'm all for it.
He's only killing the preps in Chocolate Stained Blaine, so Mitchell's gonna live to ride another day, I'm afraid. Also in the chat, Goldscope with an interesting point. Hot Shots Part 2 was a true Rambo sequel, complete with Colonel Trautman playing
I was totally
himself.
gonna bring it up. Thank you,
Yeah.
because
it really
for
is.
me, after Hot Shots Part 2, it's like there couldn't be another Rambo movie because he nailed it so perfectly, and that is legit Charlie Sheen. He worked out to get that body for that. That's dedication, people.
Yeah, that was
great. Yeah, that is the
for that
peak of
movie.
Sheen. I would love to do at some point a Hot Shots episode as well as
It's fantastic.
as well as a Loaded Weapon 2 episode, because National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon is maybe the last great thing National Lampoon's ever put their name on. And yes, I'm aware Van Wilder was after that.
What, you don't like golf punks?
It's no last resort, but hey, it's also no last resort. So there's a lot of love for Richard Crenna. And Whiskey Foreman says, I check into motels as George P. Cosmatos. That's a kind of cute little fact. I like that. Oh, and more pitches in the chat. There's another one from Gold's Code. I don't know if this is going to be one where Ian needs to cover his ears or not, but let's have at it. Gold's Code's third pitch. Rambo returns to Jerkwater, USA to take revenge on the town that wronged him. He just wanted something to eat. Now he will feed them revenge. It's Ram blown away. That's pretty good. Michael Ricci with a pitch. Rambo finally dies of a heart attack, of course. He goes to hell for murdering so many people and does battle in the depths of hell with Pinhead in Rambo 666. Ooh, I like it. There's almost a Cult of Thorn angle I want to work into that there. Another one in the chat though. Whiskey 41 with a pitch. His pitch. John's truck breaks down and he finds an old junked caddy. He fabs new leaf springs and cruises the PCH. He finds fellow damaged person Michelle Yeoh and they genuinely connect in Last Bone. I don't know if I understand that one. I think that one went over my head. But that sounds pretty. I would watch that movie. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know who Michelle Yeoh is, or if I'm saying her name right. Apologies if I'm not.
But no, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Also, VCR friend Michael Ricci says, if
Dragon,
Ian gets First Blood as a film, I'm sticking by Point Break as a film as well. Oh,
Point Break
I
is a
love
good
that.
film.
Point Break.
All right, so I agree with you. I'm with Chris. If there was a Rambo sequel, it wasn't. I'm going back to 1990, 1991, 92, somewhere in there. There should have been the Rambo 4. I feel the one thing we haven't really. It'd be interesting if he went up against Korea.
Hell yeah.
In a war on North Korea.
You're just gonna start wars that aren't even happening now. It's like the opposite.
Well,
I'm
just
trying
saying,
to heal conflicts.
But but then it really I think that would be a good setting. I don't know what it would be, but I think that'd be a great setting. I mean,
he's a one-man DMZ. I like it.
Well, because I'll be honest, what should have been Rambo 5 should have been dealing with Russia. Like I really thought they missed the mark with the rise of Putin and
Russia coming back around. Yeah,
this kind of Cold War thing that's starting to kind of have it. I really think they missed out on the whole Russia thing. I again, call the film "Hey Dude." It would have been fine. Ernst's Revenge. It would have been fine. But So I think some topic, and going on then in 90. Well, actually, if it was in 90, it would have been more South America, wouldn't it have been?
No, in 90, I think it would have been maybe Yugoslavia, Croatia, Serbia, that kind of stuff. Probably there was that big breakup.
Bosnians and Serbians.
Yeah, somewhere between there, Somalia maybe, Grenada, Panama.
Well, and I love
somewhere in between all that.
I keep thinking of that great setup in GoldenEye, where Judi Dench is basically calling James Bond a war relic from the Cold War. It's like there would have been a great setup for Rambo. Like, who's he fighting now? Like, the Cold War's over. So who was the enemy in the early 90s? And I think Rambo would have gone. Like, the 90s were kind of sort of peaceful. So it would have been interesting to have Rambo find the wars.
Well, it's interesting.
There's no war, and I can't have it.
Yeah, I mean, really, but like, it's kind of
For me, I would have liked. I think Rambo: First Blood Part 2 actually should have been Rambo 3. Rambo 3 should have been Rambo 4. I would have liked to see one right in between there because I liked. First Blood is like a comfort movie for me. You put it on, he's walking down this rainy street, and it gives you the feels, And then First Blood Part 2 or Rambo 2 opens up with him, in prison. I would have liked to see that stretched out more into a Robert Redford Last Castle situation where
Rambo and Chained Heat. We've got Chained Heat references like now running on the show. I love this.
You've got like that, the warden's taking advantage and causing all these problems and beating the prisoners because that shit was running rampant back then. I would have liked to seen him still at home, but now he's in the Last Castle kind of situation with the Gandolfini and the Robert Redford movie. I would have liked to see him take the prison.
Feels like lockdown.
Then because the prisons can't hold him anyways, now he's going out to get the POWs. I would have liked to seen one more at home in between there before he retired to the horses.
And it would have been an amazing scene. And I think it's a huge mistake. We should have seen John Rambo at the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah.
Can you imagine John Rambo touching that wall? That would have been powerful.
Yeah, that would have been a good. That would have been a good visual. That would have been power. You're right.
Just as an ending somewhere, wherever that is, that would have been a great ending.
Oh yeah,
but the idea of him also going
there's not a lot more tear jerking than the end of Private Ryan when he's old and he's kneeling down. I mean, that it would have been on par with that.
Yeah,
I think if you do go with 6 and you do make like a sequel to everything, you got to frame it like how you got to make his age an advantage, like they did with Sean Connery in The Rock. So, like, make it that sort of sense, like have him go back to Afghanistan. Now it's the fall of Afghanistan, everything's changed, but for some reason, only he knows this system of caves or some shit that, they need his expertise or whatever it is. So they go and dust him off. And they get him ready for one last mission, but you fill it with other cool people that help him along, help the movie along the way. I don't know, Michael J. White, Scott Adkins, fucking Michael.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that idea.
And make it like The Rock.
Or we could mix both of our ideas, and we could have him take over the nursing home like he's being mistreated.
Yeah, there you go.
Use his age to it as an advantage.
Yeah.
So I would be really curious. I know there's a script out there. The original idea for Rambo 2 was supposed to be a buddy movie with Stallone and John Travolta. It was supposed to be, I'm telling you, but then Staying Alive came out and fucking bombed. So then I think, nixed that idea. We're like, okay, no, buddy movie. And I think
because it was Staying Alive.
Well, I think, Travolta.
I can't even picture that.
Well, they were pretty tight for a while. I think they were doing fucking coke at Studio 54 a lot, and
they're shooting at us. Why?
Don't touch the hair, stupid.
Murdoch.
Like, I'm sorry, John Travolta is not his character from Welcome Back, Kotter, but any movie you pitch with him, I can only see that guy sometimes.
Oh, I can only see Danny Zuko always. Whatnot.
What is it? Phenomenon. It's like aliens are in my brain.
What?
I was trying to picture him as in Face Off. You know, he's got the same kind of action deal in Face Off, and even that wasn't working for me with Stallone.
We didn't switch vocal cords. It makes no sense. I get it.
So
their bodies
another
are
thing
the
I
same,
thought,
too. Fucking hilarious.
if you took that concept, the buddy concept, and you do it in like the 90s or the 2000s, the early 2000s, you get the what I call the Terminator 3 She Got Game effect. And instead of it being like Travolta is the buddy, what if it was like, you know, Sandy B or some, you know, whoever's like the action star person, Cynthia Rothrock? Like, why couldn't we have a love story, a true love story? Because I love Co, but gives her the kiss of death in 2. Literally, he kisses her, and like before like his lips are dry, she's dead. Like she's shot with bullets, almost to say like women in love have no place in these movies. But I would love to see a Rambo and Juliet, if you will, the Shakespearean love tale set against the backdrop of an explosive war, a one man or a one man and one woman war.
Oh my God. Yeah. Me too. Please.
He's a one woman war kind of one man war kind of man.
Yeah. What's that dialogue like?
I mean, you know, it's hard to top "You're Not Expendable," Rambo. That's so cute. You know, you take me with you, Rambo. Oh, the great Julie.
I will say this: the ending of Last Blood, was decent. I mean, it was a decent action, a good setup.
It was Home Stallone, you know.
Why couldn't we have that though in a Rambo setting with him looking like? I mean, we've had this talk, Chris. You know, Riggs has long hair. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Riggs
Rambo never
has
cuts
long-
it. Yeah.
You know, I don't like it cut short. It's just that's Riggs. You know, I like seeing our characters the way that you expect to see them.
At the very least, Rambo needs to have like an accidental hockey mullet. You know what I mean? Like something. Like he's got to have some shag in the back because he doesn't give a fuck because he lets it go because he's fucking Rambo. God damn it.
Yeah.
But
I don't see him sitting down at Great Clips.
Yeah, right. Hey, yo, maybe the $8 cut here, you know, not too much on the back, you know. They bring that buzzer, I move my head side to side like a windshield wiper, you know. And because it's in the chat, I do have to say again, Gold's Code pointing out that Gremlins 2 is also a true Rambo sequel and a damn fine one at that. And Whiskey41 saying, hey, Kyle, give Chris the heads up that bone is a euphemism for the four-legged mambo, the hunka chunka, doing it, porking it, what else? And again, any reference, anytime we have Stallone, I have to make reference to the hunka chunka. It is my favorite slang term for sex in the history of cinema.
True.
Kids smoking a desire to raid the fridge, you know?
I will say, do you guys also do you remember in Twins? I think my earliest remembrance of Rambo is probably from the Rambo 3 poster in Twins, and Arnold's like,
oh, and he kind of points to it and laughs, whatever. That was back, that was the Cold War between those guys, and it was a Cold War between those guys. It's a fascinating
Last Action Hero. I mean,
Last Action Hero, that's.
He's fantastic in this, yeah.
You know, the
best performances ever.
The fan fiction out there would be, for the just this would never happen in a million years, but an unrealistic fan fiction movie would be Commando versus Rambo.
Oh yeah, dude, give it, please.
I mean,
any excuse possible.
Arnold dressed as Commando and Rambo. I mean, like,
I got it. Jenny she never stopped riding horses. She had a passion for it. She became a ranch hand at Rambo's farm. She gets kidnapped or something, blah, blah, blah. And then, he fucking reaches out for Troutman, but gets in touch with this guy, Matrix, John Matrix, and fucking boom. The buddy
The
team
worst
we
part,
need. Yeah.
people at home, this is how Rambo 5 was greenlit. Somebody like Chris just
or how about-
rambled on like
Yeah.
that.
Some
Somebody went,
assholes.
oh,
Or how
yeah,
about the
okay.
horses?
No, actually, that would work, though.
Let's see the horses that she wants to get. They only can get them in like Afghanistan, so they have to go back and get these horses from the village.
There it is. There it
Breeded
is.
those horses where
Now-
they
So
play
we've
that
gone
weird-
from rescuing POWs to acquiring horses.
Yeah,
That's
that
like
stallion that he
Colombia.
rode and played that game where he batted around that goat's head or whatever the fuck. That's the horse stallion. They need that seed, and so they're gonna go. And then shit happens. She gets kidnapped or something by the Russians.
Honestly, I could also go for Rambo in Colombia, taking on like a Pablo Escobar type of thing. Just like the I know it's probably too similar to what we did in 5, but just because it's more lush, it's more green, it's more of a jungle.
No.
I think it's
Yeah.
you know.
Colombia is Chuck Norris at Cannon. That Rambo is Middle
Oh.
East. Chuck Norris is South America. Those are the rules established. I just work here. I just live here.
You
I'm
sound
going
like
off
the family playing Nukem in RoboCop. Like, Pakistan is threatening my border. All right, Buster, no more military aid from Blammo.
Oh shit, that's too funny.
Dude,
Probably
I
the
wanted
best
Nukem
joke
when I
of
was a
that whole
kid.
movie.
I wanted Nukem. It seemed like so much
Everybody
fun
wanted
when I was a kid.
Yeah, electronic battleship just didn't measure up.
No, yeah, after that, Battleship was so fucking
But
lame.
then you got Nukem in RoboCop 2.
Well, then it's in the. Oh, that's true. You did get Nukem. Oh, and it was so disappointing. Let's not go down that fucking dark rabbit hole.
Why
Getting
you
back
brought
to
up Rambo 5? Why can't I bring up the RoboCop 3?
Because we started this show by talking about that monstrosity, that train wreck, that fucking dumpster fire of a sequel franchise. But the Rambo films have good sequels. I mean, 2, 3, and 4 are good. It's not their fault that 5 just
Like I
wasn't
said, 5's
quite
not
right.
bad. It's just not Rambo.
Bad.
Like it
Now-
should
If
not
we're
have been
gonna-
called Rambo.
If we're gonna do not Rambo, then give me spectacularly not Rambo. Like we did this for Over the Top, but I think Rambo as well. I would see Rambo the musical. I would totally watch it.
Disgusting. Well, it's like
It'd be
it's
fantastic.
weird. It's like what they used to do at. It's kind of what Miramax used to do with Hellraiser movies. They would just take a script, throw Pinhead in it for like a couple seconds, and didn't change the script. They just made it a Hellraiser movie. It's like Rambo 5 was a script that they had, and they just decided in the middle of filming, hey, what if we called you Rambo? Whatever, and it was called like Death Horses, and they just changed the script to be Last Blood. It's like you could have done that
For
with
some
any.
reason, I feel like
Well, I was just gonna say you could have done that with any of this. You could have done that with any of the Stallone movies. You could have did I See You could have been, Rambo in Antarctica. Like it just doesn't work. Though.
So there's
That's
also
right, folks. I brought up I See You. I brought you 2002 Stallone.
man.
That's what
Rambo
you
on Ice. Oh, Rambo on Ice. That's the musical. He never went to he's been in the desert, he's been in the jungle. He hasn't been in a volcano or on ice. That's the two places you got to go, and or space.
Rambo versus a volcano. Like what?
Slam dunk Rambo. Rambo rides again. You just took there's so many people that you could just shove into the Ernest well of like thinking, and it kind of works. And Rambo is one of them.
Scared stupid.
Rambo rides again.
Yes.
Rambo
Rambo. Dude, Rambo in a haunted house would be fucking great. Be fucking great. Hey, yo, that ghost there. I scared of no ghost.
All right, everybody shut up and let Dustin talk.
I'm just spouting off Ernest thing. Rambo goes to camp. That's all. That's all I was thinking. Rambo goes to camp.
Rambo goes to army camp, the prequel,
Yeah,
we had Rambo goes to jail. I mean, that was the beginning of 2.
Oh, yeah, that was the first one. That was my pitch.
Oh man,
yeah, Rambo 5, which became the Mario 2 of the franchise.
The Doki Doki Panic. Oh my god, shit. Well, let's see. Interestingly enough, the musical talk, because there is that long road, the whole Frank Stallone thing, and
It's
as
a
we got to
long
shout out,
road.
yeah, well, first of all, the great Jerry Goldsmith score, bum, 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 bum. And then of course Bastardized. Something about this franchise that I've grown to love to hate is the terrible ending credit songs on 1, 2, and 3. On 1 you get "It's a Long
Long road's
Road."
great though. Come on, that's
No,
great.
That's not. That's barely
you
music.
mean?
And then in 2, yeah, "For You Are My Brother, a ripping it down." Yeah, the strength of our nation
Yeah, I always feel like
believes in us all.
It's like
It's so good.
that totally reminds me of that puppet movie. What's the puppet movie? The
Team
World
America.
Yes, Team America, World Police.
Oh, give me Rambo with puppets. I'd watch that too. I'd
Rambo
fucking
with
watch the
puppets
shit
would
out of
be
that.
kind of fun.
That would be great. Didn't they
Change
do that
nothing,
with
just
Celebrity
make them
Deathmatch at
puppets.
one point?
Also, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I think you could do this with recasting. And I know, just hear me out. Fucking one man who could take over this role, and he's not gonna fill the shoe size, but he's gonna fill the cinema power, and that's Joe Pesci. I would literally
Get outta
watch
here.
Joe Pesci playing John Rambo. I don't care how it works. Put him in any of these movies. He's fucking 5 feet tall, but he kicks so much ass. I have to see it. I have to see it. I need it. I fucking need it. Whether it's him on steroids or
My
him the
cousin
same size he
Rambo.
is now.
My
don't
cousin
care.
Rambo.
Oh, that's it. My
That's
cousin
good, Preston.
Rambo.
That's good. That's good.
it. You win. You fucking just won right there. Although in the chat, I will say there is from Whiskey 41, the great Alex Bonafonte, his pitch, Rhinestone Rambo, and I'm not opposed to that either. That does.
How dare you bring up Rhinestone?
There's some Steven Seagal pitching in there as well. I'll leave that one for the chat because we are running out of time here. But I just saw like a last couple of pitches here. It seems like, well, this is some chitter chatter, not pitching, but we are almost out of time. So I do want to let you guys, if there's anything you got going on in the works, you want to let the people at home know about any upcoming videos, articles, appearances, new sets, new anything. Looks like Preston's on the move with something.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. So I just recently finished the casting couch build, 112 scale.
Oh, wow.
If you're looking to get Ramboned for very little
Yeah, so I've got
pay.
that one finished. Working on a couple new things. The Kentucky State Fair comes up in August, and I always love winning that every year. So I'm going to try and do that again. Going to enter this one in there, and I think my Walking Dead one again. And I've got a new one coming up that I'm working on right now. So once that's a little further along, I'll post some pictures of that and talk about it. But that was cool, and Wonderfest was cool, and I'm living the dream here. Just excited about it. Got a couple articles coming out. One will be in American Miniatures magazine, and the other one will be in the Miniature Gazette. So I'm sure everyone subscribes to those. Keep your eyes open for that.
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to subscribe. I'm gonna have to look out for those. Anything going on article wise or Retro Fiend Radio wise these days?
Yeah, I'll let a little secret coming up here since it's going to be the anniversary of Ninja 3: The Domination. We might be in post production for a kick-ass documentary on Ninja 3. So that one's been in the works for a long time.
There's a reason why my PlayStation handle is Ninja Golf Pro, and that's the reason.
Yeah, so we're cranking on that. So stay tuned for that. But meanwhile, if anybody's curious about any Rambo fans out there in the audience, if you're curious about any of like the old canon stuff like Missing in Action and Ninja 3 and Revenge of the Ninja, we just interviewed Nancy Cohen, who's a costume designer. That's our latest episode. She's great. She has tons of awesome stories working down there in the jungle. Very similar to like I can imagine what these Rambo shoots were like. So it's super interesting just to hear her take on it. So if anybody's curious, check that out. YouTube Retro Fiend Radio.
Yes, I'm telling you folks, if you're not watching Retro Fiend, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your free time. Ian, any articles dropping or soon to drop?
coming out soon should be a B movie challenge on the absolutely terrible giallo from 1965 called The Embalmer.
Ooh.
Terrible film. Terrible film.
The Embalmer.
I love it.
Yeah, the best thing
Sounds
about it
like
is the title. But then also this week, I believe on the 23rd, my book Lucky will be released by Newfangled Press. So,
Well.
Nice.
if you enjoy crime novels from the 1950s in the vein of Mickey Spillane or movies like The Hustler,
Ooh.
enjoy it. It's,
Wow,
it's a
Gene,
good
we're
ride.
reading his voice here.
Wow.
A transatlantic voice. I'm gonna read
That's
that
right.
Yeah, we got 2 for you, see, and 1 for me, see. And
That's
well,
right.
we're giving the shout outs department, see. I want to give a shout out to our guy Mickey Torres, you see, because he's going to be getting married this weekend, and he's going to
Yes,
get Mick married,
Mickey.
folks. That's right, yes.
Oh,
No, in all
hey.
seriousness,
Congrats,
you know, Mickey will be away from us for a couple of weeks. He's gonna be in honeymoon land. He's getting married this weekend, so we're all very excited for him. Sending him your well wishes and all that. And of course, you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we're joined by Arnold voice actor Richard Zuniga of Geekfire Inc. for our Kindergarten Cop episode. As always, if you enjoyed this
Not a
video, the
tumor.
best way
It's not a tumor.
get out of here for Kindergarten Cop. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Retro Fiend Radio, The Bearded Miniaturist, Fandom Spotlight, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
It's a long road